All right, good morning. It is Sunday, October the 29th. Our scripture reading for today is Luke chapters 19 and 20. So beginning in chapter 19, verses 1 through 10, Zacchaeus is seeking Jesus. He runs ahead of the crowd with Jesus, and he climbs up in a tree. In verse 5, Jesus comes to where he is and says, "Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for I must stay at your house today." So Jesus there is speaking with Zacchaeus, and Zacchaeus repents, and then he is restored. He speaks of restoration. He repents with restoration and is received by Jesus. And Jesus says there in that passage of Scripture, "For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost." So, of course, the Pharisees and Sadducees didn't like that. So in verses 11 through 21, Jesus gives the parable of the talents to point out their hypocrisy. There was a nobleman that he says that left his servants in charge of his belongings and tells them, "Do business till I come." The profitable servants, the faithful servants, were there in contrast to the unprofitable or unfaithful servants. In verse 15, it says that all will be judged and held accountable for what they do with the talents given. The faithful are rewarded and the unfaithful will be punished. Verse 28 through 40, Jesus enters Jerusalem to the praise and rejoicing of the crowd. In verses 41 through 44, he weeps over Jerusalem and foretells the destruction to come. Verse 45 through 47, he drives out the money changers from the temple, and he teaches there daily while the elders and the people plot to kill him. In chapter 20, verses 1 through 8, the leaders confront Jesus about his authority. He stumps and silences them with a question about John's baptism. Verses 9 through 19, the parable about the evil vine dressers, Jesus gives that, and the evil vine dressers are unwilling to give the vineyard owner his due. So he leases it to them, and part of the contract is that they would give him his portion of the produce, and they refuse to do that. So Jesus pronounces judgment on them, saying he will come and destroy those vine dressers and give the vineyard to others. Now he's talking about the kingdom of heaven and how the Israelites were invited and they were the vine dressers, but they have refused to give God his due. So those vine dressers that are unfaithful, they will be held accountable, and the vineyard, heaven, will be given to those who are considered worthy or faithful. So Jesus pronounces judgment on them. And the last part of that, it says, they knew he had spoken this parable against them. In verse 20 through 26, there are spies that are sent to catch Jesus in his words, asking him about paying taxes to Caesar. And he says, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar, and unto God the things that are God's. They were trying to catch him, but they could not. Verses 27 through 40, the Sadducees ask about resurrection. They have what they feel is a foolproof argument for there being no resurrection, and Jesus basically tells them they don't know the Scriptures. Verse 37 and 38, let me read that to you. But even Moses showed in the burning bush passage that the dead are raised, when he called the Lord the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. For he is not the God of the dead, but of the living, for all live in him. So Jesus tells them that they are wrong about the resurrection, that there is going to be a resurrection, and that there will be an accountability process for those who disobey God. All right, so and after they asked that question, it says that they dared not question him anymore. So Jesus comes up then and asks them about the Messiah. What did they think? Who did they think the Messiah would be? How could he be David's son if David calls him Lord? So he questions them, silences them, and then he pronounces condemnation on those hypocrites. All right, our thought for today is how precious it would be to hear Jesus say, "Well done, good and faithful servant."